Yep. All right, we're live.
We're live.
We are live. Let me grab my phone so I can see who's in there.
Yeah.
So how are you handling this whole stay-at-home thing?
Well, I've almost worked from home for almost my entire career. I've worked remote. And so for me, it's not a huge change, except for the fact that I can't golf. I can't, which was a really big deal. I did find a course last week that was open, and we went. It was 48 degrees and sunny, and I couldn't wait. And then they shut them down 2 days later.
Yeah, we can only hope this passes soon, because this is it's getting to be something, I tell you.
Yeah, but it's rough. It is rough. But I think I actually just did a live in my support group about this, that I feel like for so many of us, for me personally, I'm pretty calm. And I think it's because of the trauma that I have experienced with addiction.
Kind of desensitized from a lot of things. Huh?
It's grounded me. It's really grounded me.
Yep. Hey, while we're waiting, everybody, go ahead and hit that share button. Get it out there. Someone's going to need to hear this.
What's up, Rich? Please share us out, everybody, if you're tuning in. It helps a lot. Helps a lot. Someone may need to hear what our guest has to share tonight, especially if you know somebody who's been impacted by addiction, who isn't an addict themselves, but loves an addict and has struggled in that way. Then we have the perfect guest.
In my support group about this, that
Getting a bunch of people tagged.
Okay. I'm sharing too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for this.
We're so excited for this. We've been talking about it all weekend.
Yeah, so one thing we did realize is we got to adjust our camera situation over here when we go live. So I'm working on getting a better camera. Like, I want to get one and mount it up in the corner so we can
Thanks, Rich.
Do all the adjustments we need.
You know, that's funny you should say that, because I don't have a webcam. I just use what's on my laptop. But if you look on Amazon, webcams are completely sold out.
Yeah, they're everywhere. I had to put the jail and turn it into like a virtual world. And so we have, like, I put a big screen TV up and got Zoom and everything set up on a laptop so they can have their religious services. And
that's great.
Yeah, finally the state just approved all the classes. So I went to look for a webcam, and it's like everybody was sold out. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. So I used mine. And speaking of, we kind of disappeared. There we go. All right. Yeah, but it was difficult finding. And then I switched our medical over to virtual as well.
Hey, everybody, please share us out. We're going to have a great talk tonight. We're going to get underway in just a couple of minutes. So if you know somebody who's been impacted by addiction, this is the show for them. Please share us out. And please contribute. We're eager to hear what you have to say, too. So any comments, more than welcome, and we'll do our best to respond. And anyone who wants to refill my coffee cup in about 15 minutes, that'll be cool, too.
I hope my daughter's watching, because then we'll get her.
Shout out to Allison.
Yeah, I made the coffee. You can bring it up.
Yeah, come on, Allison.
Slacking already.
Get it together, Allison.
Yeah. She's trying to network with Selena Gomez, actually, as if luck would have it.
Yeah, I think that's what she's tied up doing.
Yep, that's all right.
Selena asked for good Hang on a minute. We got a comment here.
Thanks, Rich.
Oh, Natalie.
Yeah, come on, Natalie. We know it's down there, but we can't get up and come get it.
Right.
What are you doing? Where are you going to be in 15 minutes, Natalie? Good time to mention the Medical Warrior podcast, too.
Yes, it is a podcast about a medical journey that you won't believe. Just released a new episode, didn't she? Yeah.
Yesterday.
Got another one in the fire ready to come out. All right, so I think we're about ready to get started.
Just about ready.
Just about ready.
Okay.
Weather looks really good for anyone in Southeast Michigan coming up, man. String of 60-degree days right around the corner, so hang in there.
Hang in there.
Seriously, I can't take this. Not being able to go outside, although I'm a wuss. I literally could put on a parka and go, but I'm not made for this weather.
No, I prefer
Anything-
nice, sunny and perfect. Yeah.
Right.
It's always, yeah. Yep.
Anything under 60, and I'm like, ah.
I mean, once we get into the 50s, I'm normally happy if there's a little sunshine.
If there's sun, right.
All right, we got Lynn, Georgia.
Georgia?
No, Tim's not wearing shorts.
Nope, not today. I'm sorry.
Nope, Georgia. We adjusted the camera view. We have a guest with us today.
I wanted to put on shorts.
We'll gladly share the screen with our guest rather than Tim's shorts.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah,
I didn't want my shorts to steal the.
Yeah. All right, so with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're right on time too. Look at that. All right.
Look at that.
So today's guest is Katie. I highly suggest you look up her page and check her out. Again, we'll drop the link right in the comments when we're done here. And we have some new people. They're rolling in. All right. So hi, Terry, Elena.
Hey, Elena.
Hey, there's Allison. So she knows to get us coffee. So we better not run out.
We have empty cups here in just a bit, Allison.
Yep. So Katie, she reaches out and she's a motivational speaker. We won't go too much into her story because we're going to let her kind of tell you what she does. But she does fantastic things. She travels and speaks. She's been to our local jail, actually, and spoke there. She wasn't locked up. We didn't keep her.
She was a guest.
Never been arrested.
I didn't make her eat the food. But yeah, she did a fantastic job, and I think she has a fantastic message out there. So with that, we'll go ahead and let Katie kind of introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. This is so great. I am echoing a little bit, by the way. But we'll fix it.
I'll turn. It might be on our end. We have you a little loud.
I'm turning my volume down and my gain down. But so my story, and I'll make it kind of brief because there's a lot of stuff that I want to cover, and I just find this to be such an incredible opportunity right now, and so blessed to be here. So I never expected to be in this position, by the way, of speaking about this type of thing. I was the PTA mom and the brownie leader, and I had great corporate career. I worked in the semiconductor industry for close to 20 years, and I did client relations and trade shows and traditional marketing and design, and I loved it. And our home was kind of a house where all the kids hung out in the neighborhood, and we had the bonfires and the pool parties, and we just always wanted to be that house where our kids came to, and so we could see who they were hanging around with. And I would volunteer in the cafeteria at lunch at my daughter's school to obviously see who she was hanging out with, and you know, get the gossip, right?
Yeah.
So fast forward, my oldest daughter, I have two children. Brittany is just turned 29, and my daughter Brooke she'll be 17 next month. And my oldest, she was like so many, on a roll, super involved in sports, never had an issue making friends, just very outgoing, very boisterous. She would just bounce into a room and light it up. And I remember looking back that, we did talk to our kids about the dangers of drugs, and we talked with them the dangers of drinking and driving. But I never had any idea to talk to our kids and educate them about prescription drugs. And my daughter, this was back in 2008, 9. And she started, let me back up just a tad. I remember one time she was in 11th grade, and she asked if she could go to prom with a senior. And I was so freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. He's a senior, what happens at prom and all this stuff, right? We had long talks, and Dad finally decided to let her go. But I said, if you're ever in a situation that you're uncomfortable with, we had a code word. And that code word was Bible. So whether there's stranger danger, or, you're walking down the street and someone says, you want to see my puppy, little girl, or whatever, maybe she's on a date and
got some candy.
Someone is not making her feel very comfortable, she can call or text me with this word. So fast forward, it goes to prom. And she called me about 11 p.m. and said, Mom, can you pick me up? Bible. And I said, oh my God, what's going on, right? And I'm panicking, and your heart starts racing, etc. She's like, Mom, I'm fine. And she's whispering, I'm fine. But my ride's been drinking, and I don't feel safe. Can you come and get me?
That must have been awesome, right?
As a parent, that's got to be incredible.
It was so awesome. And I was like, we did it, right?
Yeah. She listened. Yeah.
She did it.
Yeah. Woo. My kid's perfect. Everything will be fine from here on out.
Everything's going to be just great.
Right.
So
I got a feeling this takes a twist or turn in a little bit.
So senior year, and again, I'm not going to go into all the crazy details because God, it's 11 years. We'd be here for a long time. But senior year, I got a call one morning from the hospital, and they had said my daughter was in a single car accident. And I didn't understand how this had happened because it's 10 a.m. and she's supposed to be in school right now. So I rushed to the emergency room, and your heart is pounding and you feel like you can't breathe because they won't tell you anything over the phone. And I arrive there, and I walk into the room that she's in, and I remember seeing her, and it didn't even look like her. She was almost animalistic. She was screaming obscenities, and she was thrilling on the bed and thrashing. And then she had, it must have been 4 or 5 workers trying to hold her down and trying to strap her in at that same time. And then there was a doctor saying, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And I didn't understand what he meant because I didn't understand what was going on. I said, what is wrong? Of course
it's not my fault. What are you talking about, right?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that she had a really high amount of Xanax in her system. That was my first clue that something was up.
Yeah.
So I thought, she's got to be depressed. We have to get her into therapy, and we got to ground her, and take the phone away and the computer and all of this stuff, and we do all that. But she also started dating a boy who played hockey, and he had been prescribed Vicodin due to a hockey injury, along with several of his teammates. And that's what they started to do on the weekends, was take this little pill. Again, this is back in around 2009. I didn't know anything then.
So Brittany was around 19 then?
She
18,
was
19?
She was 18. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, you're going into this clueless. I didn't know anyone that had ever really been addicted, and I thought she must be experimenting. You know, all kids are probably going to do that at some stage. She's really depressed, and you know, she's connecting with her peers, or is it the boy? And you think about all these things, right? And again, got her back into therapy and all of this stuff. And well, then, you know, she graduated and just didn't like our rules anymore, so she decided to move out. And then about 6 months later, again, this is super Cliff Note version. You know, my daughter that was once so close with the family and her little sister, and we were together all the time. She was isolating. She was losing weight. I really didn't talk with her much. She called me one day and said, "Mom, I got to talk with you. Can you meet for lunch?" And you know, when your teenager says they need to talk with you, something big's going down.
Right.
Oh yeah.
At best
Right?
case scenario, they want some money.
Well, and at that point either, she hadn't even gotten to that point of asking me for money. That wasn't even in the
you know what, I
picture.
mean, just any teenager, though.
Oh, yeah,
You know?
right, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And so we met for lunch, and I remember hugging her, and she was just bones, and I was like, "Girl, you know, I got to get some meat on you, and you need some home cooking." And she started bursting into tears, and she said, "Mom, I think I'm addicted to heroin." And those words just blew me to my core. But I also felt I didn't want to express that, because I thought in this moment could change the course of my relationship with her. She's coming to me for help. She's coming to me because she's scared. And I need to return that with support and not a lecture and not judgment.
Absolutely.
Super insightful. Yeah.
Well, I'm, you know, also a control freak. And I also thought, I got this. We got that. We've anything we can tackle, right? We can
Sure.
fix this. Get her into treatment. The first time, I don't know any better. We had great insurance. She went to a place in Michigan, and they kept her 5 days.
That's plenty of time.
Plenty of time. And I thought,
especially for the first time, why
okay.
not, right?
Yeah.
Why not? Of course. She didn't have a history of it, so they sent her home. And again, being the clueless mom, I thought, okay, we're good. She's going to be all better. And we just need to surround her with some love and some good meals and keep her away from the bad people. And everything's just going to be fine. Well, you know, that lasted about 2 weeks. And
Which is about a week longer than I would have guessed if I could have bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
Coming from a guy with experience.
Yeah. And, you know, Katie, before we go too far ahead, I just want to say, like, I remember having to tell my parents that I had a problem, and I couldn't even do it face to face. I wrote on a piece of paper, basically, in short, I'm addicted to Vicodin, and I taped it to my bedroom door, and I just waited for the, like, fallout. I hid. It's tough. So, like, to her credit, she actually called you and
reached out.
Yeah.
She did, and I was really proud of her. And I think it takes so much courage to do it in whatever shape that you're doing it in, to say that I have a problem with something, right? I mean, it takes for all of us to admit that I can't handle that. I need some help. And, you know, fast forward, it was just treatment from one state to another state, to living in a trap house in Detroit for about a year. Me going down there with a baseball bat, wanting to, you know, break the doors in and drag my daughter out of there, which I did. Not recommending that, by the way. Please know this is not medical advice. This is
not endorsing that.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, okay. Important disclaimer. Because a big part of our viewing audience actually has baseball bats. So I'm glad. Thank you for. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. But you know, through you know, a good 5-6 years in the beginning, I just wasn't understanding what was happening, and it almost seemed like it was slow but fast. If that even makes sense, my brain didn't.
the years go by fast, but the days are short. And when you're in a world like you're talking about with substance abuse disorders, I think that's just like that sentiment you can put on steroids.
Yeah.
Yes, because we don't understand. And I think especially as families or me, again, I didn't understand the word addiction, and I didn't correlate that with my daughter. I just kept thinking she's just going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Maybe she needs more therapy. Maybe she needs more treatment. And she never fought treatment. Not in the beginning, not at all. She wanted to go. I need help. I don't know how to stop. Please help me. And I would cry, and we would hug, and we would love. And there was no animosity. I shouldn't say no animosity. There was definite definite times when,
which I think is understandable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's total chaos. And what was happening is that I couldn't stop chasing her. She went down to Detroit. I went down after her. I was following her on social media to see when was the last time that she was on, because that meant she was alive. Okay, she was on 12 minutes ago. She's okay. It's been 16 hours. Oh my God, I better send the search party and go find her. I was obsessed with her to the point where I started losing not only myself, but I was not focused on the rest of my family.
What you're talking about is such a great example of how addiction is really truly a family disease, right? It doesn't just zero in on the person who's abusing the drugs or has that addictive behavior. It impacts everybody around them in their circle.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's really difficult because, they say that this is a family disease, but it's not treated as such.
No.
The family piece is not really addressed. And the trauma that we've experienced, it's totally left out.
Yeah. So then can I ask you, just as a quick aside, do you have ideas as to how we could change that? Like what should be done differently in order to treat this as a family disease?
Well, I'm on a mission to change that. I'm on a true mission.
I know.
That's why we reached out to you. This was awesome that you're here. And I think it's really good for not only parents to hear this, but also those in recovery. Because I think it helps mend those relationships a little bit better because they have more of an understanding of a perspective from a parent, which a lot of times is left out and untreated. Like that is something really tough to go through.
Yeah, it took me getting into recovery, I think, to really be able to appreciate all the damage I did in the lives around me, right? Because when you're so wrapped up in yourself and you're trying to use, even though you're hurting people and you don't feel good about it, it's really not your MO. I don't think we have a great insight into just how we're hurting them and how deeply we're hurting them. So when I started to get clean, I had to really examine that and be honest with myself about that. And actually, I say that in the past tense, but the truth is it's something I still deal with, all that guilt and trying to mend different relationships. So it's a process. It's tricky.
It's definitely a process. And I think even as families, we have to forgive ourselves as well, because we definitely say a lot of things that we don't mean, right? And I'll give you an example. If my daughter would be hitting me up for $20 here and $20 there, and in the beginning I didn't understand, and I'm giving it to her because, hey, I'm in Detroit, Mom, and I have no gas, and if you don't give this to me, I'm going to be murdered, or I have a gun to my head, and if you don't give me $100, they're going to blow my head off, and I'm scared, right? I did it all. I believed it all. She would go to treatment, and I would send her gift packages and of 3 times while she was there, or send. She's there for 28 days. I'm going to have 28 cards that she can open every single day of love and support. And she's in sober living. And, Susie dropped something on her white Vans. I'm ordering new ones off of Amazon. I literally did it all.
Anything you could.
But did you, looking back on it, did you truly believe it? Or was it that motherly or parent instinct that wanted to make sure that everything was okay in the best of your power? Like, obviously you're limited in what you can do, but was that kind of that instinct overriding whether you believed it or not? I guess.
In the very beginning, I absolutely believed it because I didn't she had never really lied to me about things in the past. So I didn't have a reason to not believe. But then moving forward, I don't think I truly believed it, but I felt horribly guilty if I said no.
Sure.
That what if I say no and something happens? What if it is true? What if I say no and I'm going to emotionally scar her and then she's going to, use even more or relapse if she's in recovery and all of these things whirl through your head and you're scared. And then sometimes you say yes, I did it just to get her off my back. And I'm being honest, right? Fine. Here's your
Sure.
$20. I don't want to hear it anymore, right? Don't ask me again.
Yeah.
But
this is the last time.
Yeah.
This is it.
And then
Till next
it
time.
happens again. And I would continue to say yes.
Right.
Because my fear held me back.
There are two things that come to mind when you discuss that. And one I dropped in the comments. Like when I know a lot of people who are in like romantic relationships with other addicts, right? And those addicts will play the whole, if you don't do this, I'll kill myself type card. And I just want to take a moment to say that's abusive behavior. That sort of manipulation is abusive. And so there's certainly, to your credit, she's your daughter and you were willing to go to any lengths you could to protect her. But that leads me to what Rich just said. You were an enabler, right?
Well, yeah, and Georgia just put it kind of in a nutshell. You felt trapped into doing whatever you could to protect her. I mean, that's the bottom line.
So your motivations are pure and it makes total sense why you would do it. But in a lot of ways, you were just perpetuating it, right? Because you were sucked into that family disease. And when we all have a role in that. And you were playing your role to a T, right?
To a T. I was excellent at my role. I was so good. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand. Right. And someone said to me once, this is actually a therapist, which will go into how we can help the families. A therapist said to me, when your child goes to treatment, or really anybody, right? If you have a family session, it's probably one time when your loved one is there and maybe for 5 minutes. That's about it with the family involvement. So the therapist said to me, stop killing your kid. You're enabling.
Oh, wow.
And I was so offended. I was so offended.
And with good reason.
That that word enabler is almost a bad word, right? Because we have to look at it in a different way, that we're just loving our kids the best way that we know how at that moment. We don't know any better. We have no idea. And so if it's explained in a way of let's help your loved one, but in a different way that is healthy, not only healthy for my daughter, but healthy for me, where I'm not going to be pulled into the chaos any longer. And that is what I had to learn. And I remember my own moment of, I can't do this anymore. My husband had called me one morning and he said, honey, I forgot to take out the garbage. Can you take it out? And I lost it. I mean, screaming, crying, swearing, totally not me. It takes a lot for me to get to the point. And I lost it. And I remember I just jumped in my car and I drove and I drove and I drove and I drove. And all I could think about was driving my car into a tree. It's all I wanted to do. And I didn't want to die. I wanted my pain to end. I wanted my family's pain to end. I didn't know how to do anything different but try and be everything to everyone. And you're being pulled in all of these different directions. You're trying to get your daughter well. I'm trying to work my corporate career. I'm trying to not tell my boss the truth about what's going on, because you can't really say, hey, I'm going to be in late today because I Narcaned my daughter last night and it's been, How do you say that, right? And your marriage is crumbling because all you do is talk about addiction. That's it. You don't look at each other as a man and a woman again and a partner. You're just the other siblings are affected because you're just there. You're not really present, right? Emotionally, spiritually, mentally, you're just not. And so that was when I knew I need to get help because I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to help my daughter. And I did start to go, I found a support group, right? And I found it online and I drove to it and I promised my husband that I would go to this support group. And when I pulled up, I parked my car and I sat in the car for the entire hour and I never got out. And I bawled my eyes out. And then I drove home and my husband said, "How did it go?" And I was like, "It was wonderful. Thank you so much for encouraging me to go." Because
Wow.
walking in. Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That is totally understandable because, like, in group meetings and stuff, when a parent comes in after just going through what you just described, or anything similar, it's like it just turns their world upside down, and that barrier of embarrassment and to actually go into a meeting is like, for a lot of them, it's nearly impossible.
Very intimidating.
Yeah.
It was very intimidating. It was paralyzing to me because I felt like if I walked in, I was a failure as a mother. If I walked in, that meant this was real and I wasn't able to handle it. Why can't I help my own child? We grow up caring for our children. And then I decided that I was going to literally do everything for her, right? She gets out of treatment. "Honey, I've got a great sponsor I found for you." And I'm printing out meetings all over. And I've got sticky notes of spiritual quotes. And I'm applying for jobs. And I'm waking her up for work. And all of those things. But I did it because I loved her so much. And my fear of if she didn't get up for work in time, she's going to lose her job, she's going to relapse, and she's going to die. There was no in between. So for me, I had to take a step back because it was controlling everything. But what I also found was that this was a really big hole that is missing. And some of the support groups that are out there, and while they've helped so many, please know I don't care what kind of support group that you're in, right? I'm not like that, but I feel like there are some that can be archaic and possibly giving families archaic messages, but not really explaining what they are. For example, let go and let God, or rock bottom, right? These are these terms where I took them as, I guess I just have to wait around and do nothing until she says I want help. So I don't talk to her. I don't have anything to do with her. That's not natural as a parent. It's not. My child is sick and I want to love them, but how do I do this? Because everybody else is telling me, just let the door hit her in the ass and don't speak to her. Yeah. Well, I didn't like that
so many times.
I didn't like that. Therapists told me this, support groups told me this. There's got to be a better way. What's out there? This is not natural. This seems emotionally abusive to me. And so that's when I went deeper and I started writing for my own self-healing. And I started a little blog, literally having no idea what I'm doing. I'm Googling how to build a website. And I just was going to start talking about this for myself. For self-healing. And then one day I texted my best girlfriends and said, "I think I'm going to post it on Facebook. I think I'm going to post a blog on Facebook." And they were like, "You could do it." I was petrified because I still had my corporate career and I was in an executive position and I was a woman in a male world. And I thought they're going to doubt my decision-making and they're going to doubt, any judgment that I have at this point. But I was so desperate for self-healing that I thought there's got to be other families out there like this, right? So I threw it up on Facebook one day, took a really big, deep breath, just praying that 20 of my family and friends would, actually read it, but scared to death of who else might read it. And from there, I can't even explain to you what happened. It just kept being shared and shared and shared. And then my website crashed. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I screw up? Right? 'Cause I don't know what I'm doing. And so I called the server host people and they said I reached the bandwidth and I had to upgrade the server. So long story short, within 30 days of me just throwing it up on Facebook, my one personal page, I wasn't in any groups. I didn't even know what groups were then. I had no idea. It reached over 1.2 million people went to my little blog in 146 countries. It was
Wow. That's amazing.
crazy. And I'm getting all of these messages from families saying your story is my story. And finally somebody gets it. And I'm sobbing and laughing like, what is even happening right now? And that's when I knew I needed, I think the universe gives you signs.
Yeah, that was the proof that it was much needed.
Yeah. Definitely. And that's when I left my career.
One of our regular viewers, listeners, had a great question that I wanted to ask you. How did this impact the younger sibling? I know her name's Brooke, right? How did all this impact Brooke?
So Brooke was really young when Brittany started using, and I'll give you an example of how it affected her. I was on a business trip one time. I was actually in Hong Kong, and my husband was taking my youngest to her DARE graduation at elementary school. And this was right in the beginning when Brittany had started using. And at the graduation, Brittany had went to the bathroom. And when she came out, Brooke had seen her sister, and she said to me on the phone, "Mommy, I don't understand. Brittany kept falling asleep. Yeah. Didn't she sleep good? Why did she keep falling asleep? I don't understand." Fast forward, it happened again when we were FaceTiming when she was in sober living in a different state and didn't understand why she kept falling asleep. And so when it became age appropriate, we started explaining more. And I believe we have a lot of family meetings and family nights, and we bond and we talk and we put the phones away and we try to talk and what's on our hearts. And we do it without judgment, literally. Meaning I can't say to my husband, it really made me feel like a piece of crap when you did XXX. And he can't say back, well, I did it because la, 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 right? Because we just go back and forth. We accept what the other person says and feels. It doesn't mean we have to agree with it, but we validate and honor how they feel. And so with those family meetings, we became more comfortable to be more open about Brittany's addiction. And with that, Brooke in the beginning was very, very worried about her sister. She's always worried about her sister, but it was in a younger, youthful way. She really looked up to her sister. And then Brittany had a period of almost 3 years where she was in recovery and she was doing amazing. And so they really bonded back again and worked through a lot of their anger and emotions. But the last year and a half has been really, really rough. Has been really rough for Brooke because she's a teenager. She's almost 17. And to see her sister in the frame of mind that she is, and then knowing that she's no veins left, and she has a lot of damage that's been done internally to her body. She's very weak, and about 90 pounds. It scares her, and she doesn't understand. But she also has advocated, and she writes essays about the dangers of prescription drugs, and she talks to her schoolmates about the dangers of it. And she's really, really has turned her own pain about her sister to talk to other people, and it's even made other friends of hers comfortable to talk to her about something that's going on in their family too. So we all work through this, but we're trying to be as open as possible. I know
Yeah,
she misses her.
she's got a good example to follow too. I mean, she had that in front of her.
Well, thank you. I
Good
certainly
mom.
did a lot of stuff wrong, and I still do things wrong, right? None of us are perfect, but I truly
Nope.
believe that families, sometimes we just don't understand. And it is really easy to say, I'm so done with this, right? I can't even talk to you anymore. Don't even call me. Don't even
Right.
call me, right? I'm over it.
Yep.
That's
So we have
easy to
real
say.
quick before we go any further.
Oh, yeah.
We have from Jenny. She has a question. What is your opinion on age appropriate? She has two little ones that she's struggling with introducing this lifestyle to, and these two little ones are her grandchildren.
When I say age appropriate, I don't think any age is too young to start a conversation. I don't care
I agree.
if they
I
are.
agree. I strongly agree.
We
about you,
don't
Ken?
have to go. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, I have a nearly 13-year-old son who grew up with an addict for a father, and I was taking him to NA meetings with me when he was like 5. And then there was kind of an age where actually he got a little bit older, and I stopped taking him to him because he could comprehend a little bit more of what was being said. But he always had this idea. I referred to them as health classes until I felt like I could just break down what they really were. So I agree with you. Really, no age is too young. It's just a matter of tailoring that message in an age-appropriate way. But as far as broaching the overall subject, probably the sooner the better. That you can indoctrinate your child into your healthier ideas and perceptions of what it means to struggle with addiction. And I also wanted to say, Katie, as an addict whose parents never gave up on them, I can appreciate so much what you're saying. The fact that some of those messages about tough love and don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out didn't feel right, and you didn't accept them. And I just really want to commend you for bucking the status quo and following your own heart and intuition as to how to handle that, because I'm so grateful that my parents never turned their back on me and were always there for me, despite all the people in their ears saying, oh, so you got to give them tough love. This is the way to do it. I think every situation is different.
Every situation is different, and then when people talk about having healthy boundaries, that was again another thing that I didn't understand, because nobody explained it exactly what that is and what does that even mean. And so a big part of what I do, by the way, when I left my career, I became trained as a family coach and a life coach, because a big part of this is helping families find their own lives again, because we didn't know how to function. Our loved one became our purpose, right? I became addicted to my daughter. And when people said to pull back, I was like, oh my God, I felt like I was giving up on her. But I show families how you can maintain that relationship, how you can work through things in a healthy way, because I believe in recovering together. Because families are sick too. We have to recover together. And Johnny could go to treatment and do amazing while he's at treatment, but mom and dad are still really sick. So when he gets out, maybe we're still pointing fingers, or what do you mean? You said you were going to go to 3 meetings today and you only went to 2. That's it, right? You're going to relapse, and I know it, right? All of these things are mouths, and we don't mean to. It's because we're scared. It's because we love you. It's because of our fear. But if families are saying, I don't want to talk to you again, it's the same thing, because we're scared. And I promise you, if they say that to you and they hang up the phone, they're sobbing their eyes out because they just don't know what else to do. And I've learned along the way, if my daughter calls now and she says, Mom, I'm feeling really shitty. I haven't used in 12 hours and I'm feeling withdrawals coming on. I don't lecture now. I don't lecture and say, well, I hope you learned that from you should have learned that from the last time, or when are you going to get it together? Or, over and over and over again. And don't be asking me for money. I just say, gosh, that really sucks. I'm sorry that you're hurting. I got to love her where she's at. And when people say meet them where they're at, that's what this means. We can just have a conversation without a lecture, without saying you should and you could and you should have and all of these things. We love and accept. And with that, you're taken out of the chaos. We don't have to fix everything. If they call and say, I don't have $20 and I'm not sure what to do about this situation, it's okay to say, I'm sorry that that's happening, and not be instant trying to fix it, because we have to. I wasn't giving my daughter the dignity to even attempt to do that.
Yeah, and I think with recovery itself, there's no rubber stamp for everybody, right? There's not one way to do it. And I think that goes a long way with the families as well, as they go through their own recovery throughout the process. When you mentioned the boundaries, those are going to be different for everybody. There's no rubber stamp on that either.
Absolutely.
And it's very important to point out, like, it can't be just across the board, tough love or whatever the case may be. It's every situation is different. And I think that's where we need to start expanding on helping the families, so they can have that one-on-one. Like, you can give your perspective, and you have so much value in that because of your experience in reaching out to others. And I'm sure you've grown by talking to others as well.
Oh, it heals me. Talking with other families and coaching other families, it heals me. And when I see the transformation that can occur when families go from, I don't even know what to do anymore, to now I know what to do, giving them the tools to empower them to make those decisions and do them in strength, and lean into the love instead of the anger, instead of the resentment, leaning into forgiveness and realizing that just like it was hard for me to walk into a meeting the first time, it's really hard for somebody else to walk into, our loved ones to walk into an AA meeting or Buddhist recovery, or it doesn't matter, right? I mean, we lecture, but are we walking the walk too?
Right. And I think there's a misconception initially too, that people think they're going to walk into a meeting and everything's going to be fixed. Like, they're going to find all the resources, they're going to find all the help they need, and their child or loved one or spouse or whatever is going to be fixed in no time, like pretty much overnight.
And here's the deal, right? And I'm not trying to scare anyone. We want to give everyone hope. There's always hope that your loved one is going to recover, but that doesn't mean that your own life as a family member has to be dictated by that. For so long, if my daughter was using, I was a wreck. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I could barely get out of bed. I'm not sleeping. And then if she was doing well, I was happy. Like, life is amazing. And I didn't know, I was so codependent, right, on her and her actions, that I didn't know how to be myself again. And this is a big part of what I teach families too, is that it's okay. You need to have your life, and you need to be good whether they're using or not.
Yeah, you can't help somebody if you're not in a good place yourself. Right. And that's huge. Like, and a lot of parents I deal with, they fall right into that initial trap of worrying, and they give up their lives, whether it be like at the beginning you were like just short of stalking your daughter, like to make sure she's okay,
totally.
And that's a natural instinct from a parent or a spouse or whatever. You need to know that, and you'll go to any extreme to make sure that happens. But as you grow, you learn, okay, no matter what I say, they're not coming home tonight, right? Right. When they're in a full-blown addiction, there's really nothing you can do to convince them to come home and go to rehab unless they're ready.
Well, and that's true, but also we can support them in different ways, right? We can support them with love, and we can support them, absolutely, right? Because it's not all about treatment. We can support them in ways that are very, very powerful, very, very powerful. And with that, I really think it's so important for families to have that true guidance, and from pre-treatment, maybe they just go see a therapist. Maybe they actually do go to inpatient. Doesn't really matter, right? I mean, if they're an alcoholic and they're drinking a case and a fifth a day and they go down to 6 beers a day, that's success, and we need to celebrate that.
Absolutely. And
we need to celebrate that and not shame them.
Right, and it's a process, and some are going to go in baby steps, but it's still progress, and we definitely have to applaud that. And everybody's going to be different in their progress.
I believe in what I'm trying to change in the system, one with coaching, but also I do a lot of workshops, group coaching. I'm almost done creating an online course that families can take at any time, so they can easily look at this information. But it's also having the family needs to be a part of the treatment process from day one. And when I say a part, I don't mean that I don't want to know that, my daughter ate all of her carrots today. I don't really care about that, right? But we're so involved in the chaos that when they get to treatment, we don't know how to stop. So we're blowing up the treatment center's phones, like, what's going on? And nobody's talking to me. No one's giving me any information.
Right.
A family coach should be embedded in every single treatment center and be talking to the families about their own lives and their own family dynamic, and start that healing process and working on that. And that continues after they're discharged from treatment for support. Again, it's recovering together. It's not just about the person that is directly struggling with substances. And that's where this hole must be filled. And that is a big thing that I'm trying to do, is implement that.
Yeah, because a lot of what I see a lot of is because especially with the local jail, parents come in and they've been ripped off by their son or daughter. Spouses come in, the bank account was empty, things were sold, stolen, whatever, and they need to learn also how to make amends, and that it's okay to make amends if it's done the right way. I mean, you just don't go overnight and say, okay, you have your first day of rehab where you're forgiven. You talk about it, you work through it, and then you build on that trust, and that relationship is automatically going to grow.
Right. And families working on their own dynamics. Mom and dad need to go out to dinner and not talk about addiction. They need to put the phones away and go on a date, right? And
that's so important.
Yeah. And because they don't want to go on vacation. They're afraid, what if I leave? Something happens. These are things that aren't addressed. And these are big things because it affects everything. Yeah,
they're huge. When you don't have that time to yourself to do what you need to do to keep your sanity, that's when things start falling apart quick. And that's, you're absolutely right. That's not being addressed.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a big thing of what I try and support families. And I just think I couldn't have been the only one that felt this way. And lo and behold, I wasn't. And I'm just so blessed because it's, I have to look in gratitude, even at this crisis that we're in right now. I'm actually calm because I feel like all the trauma that I've experienced has prepared me for something like this. I'm feeling grounded and I'm feeling positive. And I'm looking at this instead of, oh, woe is me and I can't leave my house. I have to look at this as an opportunity. I have an opportunity now to serve people. I have an opportunity now to maybe start a new project. And I have an opportunity now to lead with light and lead with grace. And
I'm sorry, go ahead, Katie.
No, we just have to, what are maybe for anybody out there, right? You have an opportunity to do something, or we all have gifts. We all have so many special gifts. You may not realize that you have them. This is your time to look at yourself and what gifts do I have? I have these amazing gifts. You have these amazing gifts. Maybe you want to start another business. Do it. Who cares?
Right.
Try it.
And we hit on that, and I think you were going to just talk about that, or the one show we did on the whole stay-at-home clause, where we talked about that. Instead of slipping into a depression or just laying around not doing anything, use that to be constructive. Use it to maybe help a neighbor, or work on your short-term goals, your long-term goals. Kind of prioritize things and use it in a positive way. Start a new project, a new hobby. Say, hey, I always wanted to try this, whether it be painting a room or or putting a scrapbook together. It don't matter. Something new.
Mhm.
It's something you can be proud of at the end of the day, and who knows, you may find a new way of
A new
enjoying.
passion.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love so much is the Chinese word for crisis is made up of two characters. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity. And I think
Wow.
there's so much truth in that. There's an opportunity for us to reset ourselves as a culture. There's an opportunity for the world, our country, our state, our county, our city, us as individuals, the organizations we work for, to transform into something better. And there's really like never an easy way to do that, because if you're comfortable, you're not growing. Growth and change necessitate discomfort. Real quick, I want to say or ask you, we had a great question from Rich here. He wants to know how your daughter's doing now.
Depends on the day. She's really struggling. She lost someone very close to her, and she found them, and she's really been up and down since then. She is really trying. She is on the Sublocade shot, which she really loves, but she definitely is not in the best place. So it's rough. It's rough, but she knows we love her and we support her. But we also, again, talk about boundaries. Those boundaries can change all the time, and there's certain boundaries that we have to have right now. So,
well, we're here for her. I'm sorry to hear that she's struggling. We're definitely behind her 100%. The Sublocade shot is a great tool. It's kind of a newer thing. We talked about that in our last podcast with medical assisted treatment, MATs, and I'm on the Vivitrol shot. So there are definitely resources for individuals, and I hope that works for her. I hope that helps her turn things around. And the finding a friend, that's horrible. That must be really, really hard. And I'm sorry to hear that. And one thing I think we've learned, Joe and I, and anyone who's been watching this today, is how much support she really has, boundaries and all. To have a mother like you in her corner,
absolutely,
is an amazing thing to have. So I know she can get through it, and I know you can get through it together.
And everybody's watching. They're sending out lots of prayers.
Oh yeah,
thank you. Cry.
Well,
but this
we always
is what
say
keeps me going, because
we're all in this together, right?
Absolutely.
That's why we're here.
I want to show families that whether your loved one is struggling or not, you can still go on. You can still go on. Don't let it, if the disease is controlling your loved one, don't let it control you.
And that was there was a comment just made by Kelly. She says her other children told her that she was missing out on their lives and her grandchildren's lives because she was so involved with her son's addiction.
That's true.
And that pretty much on point to what you just said. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Take a step back, take a breath, and look around in gratitude, and just embrace today. Just embrace today. And a big thing that I learned along with this as we close is the word acceptance. I needed to accept where my daughter was at and not put expectations on how I thought she should recover, because it's not my business. My business is myself, and I need to love and accept.
Right. This is her journey. And I'll say, like, as much pain as I went through, and I feel terrible for the pain I subjected others to, gratitude, like you said, is something I feel very strongly. And I think I really am truly grateful. And I think your daughter will get to that place too. I think we all do. It takes what it takes. It takes what it takes for each and every one of us.
Right.
I'm checking to see if anybody has any more questions for you.
You got acceptance is key, and it really is.
And everybody, there's quite a few saying thank you. You're an inspiration for other families.
We're getting a lot of that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. And yeah, we really appreciate you coming on the show today and telling us what you do and being an inspiration for sure.
Thank you. This was awesome. I appreciate it very much, guys, and keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
how can people follow up with you? And like, if they, I know you've resonated with so many of our viewers today. Where can they go to connect with you in the future and just kind of learn what you have to share?
So I have a, thank you. I have a website. It's called a mothersaddictionjourney.com. I also have a Facebook page, same name. It's Katie Donovan, A Mother's Addiction Journey. And then connected to that page, if there's any families who would like support, we do have a private secret support group that's called Chit Chat Through the Chaos. And I don't make announcements like some other groups. I don't tag everyone when they join the group. I just I vet and I accept because a lot of people don't want their names out there just yet, and they can look, but just know that you're not alone. And I am that mom there too, and I was there, and I want to give you the tools and guidance to support you. So please don't hesitate to reach out at any time.
In addition to that, Katie, if you don't mind, when we're done here, can you go in and feel free to drop all that contact information in the comments? Sure. So our fan, because that's what we're about, getting help, resources, and everything out to everybody. Here's one comment right here that I really wanted to share with you, that it was nice to see it from the other side of the coin. I think that's so valuable. It just is. It's good to see and hear things from the other perspective, and I think it helps everybody kind of grow and heal together.
And it certainly helped me, Katie, think about my own situation and my family, because sometimes I think, okay, I've been in recovery for a minute. Now I understand what they went through, but I can never truly understand what they went through. So I'm able to learn from what you have to say, and I thank you so much for that.
I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad. I appreciate that.
All right. If nobody has any more questions for Katie, I don't see any.
Okay.
Just lots of thank you for sharing your story, Katie. That is
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. It's been great.
All right. Thanks for being a part of our show, and we will be in touch. And like I said, drop those comments in there. And everybody, please share after we're done here. Get this out to people so they actually can have a way to get a hold of Katie as well. And I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy hearing this and find it very inspirational, just as we did.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Be safe.